I gotta say, I'm still snacking on these big bag of almonds and pistachios that the studio for Emperor sent out during the awards.
Ah,
So thanks for that.
oh, amazing! The famous Mark Ammon nuts. Yeah, those are great, and they're actually really good. Those are really really good,
I
in
know
my
we,
opinion.
yeah, every Friday night, me and my family do a movie night, and I'm like, let's get the pistachio because they're so big. They were
Big, yeah. I love that. Yeah, yeah. That's amazing, man. That's
yeah.
amazing. I'll. I was not expecting you to start with that. I definitely have to call Mark and let him know.
Okay.
Because yeah, we all got bags of those.
Yeah.
Bags of those. Yeah.
So man, so much to talk about here, but also not enough that we can talk about without spoiling anything. So this movie is incredible. I didn't know what it was about really, just saw the talent attached, including yourself, and I just thought, yep, I'm good with this for sure.
Yeah.
So, and then I watched it, and what a wild but wholly satisfying journey it was. So it got me so amped up, and it was like a shot of adrenaline. Like my whole family was asleep, and I didn't have anybody to chat with about it. No, all I could do was just tweet about it and then see what other people were saying online. But I just immediately wanted to share the experience, almost wanted to spoil everything with my wife, but I was like, no, you gotta watch it, just because I want her to experience kind of like did you ever have Titanic on VHS where the first half of it is like the romantic part and the second part maybe for somebody else? So something like that. I'm curious if you've ever had an experience like that where a movie just got you so amped up, and you probably watched, or maybe a TV show, and you watched it by yourself, and you just immediately wanted to pass that knowledge and that experience off to somebody else.
Oh my God, I'll speak about it in two parts. The first part is past movies that I've watched that I'm like that. I have a really good friend of mine, Alex Davis. I've known him since college. We're really good friends, and like we actually fiend off of watching a movie that we love so much with someone who has never seen it before or has no context of what the movie's about, and almost reliving the experience of watching it for the first time through that person's eyes. There's so many. I mean, like Memento was a big one for me. I remember watching Memento for the first time, Nolan's movie, and going, how did he do this? How did he tell the story backwards? Why is it coherent? Why am I not lost? Like to create something so simple with the elements, it's with 4 characters, but to do it in such an interesting way and it not be a gimmick, but it served the story of a man who has short-term memory. That was definitely one of those ones that I just loved. Another one that I think shares a DNA, a narrative DNA, not necessarily a prose or plot DNA, but narratively, $1 Million. Watching that movie, and then you get into that 4th act of the film, and Hilary Swank's character like becomes paralyzed, and you go, what? And then there's like another 30 minutes of the movie that's about her career being completely over, the dreams, all the things that she could have accomplished going out the window, and you just go, it becomes a different movie. It becomes a movie about all the heroes that never were, all the greatest boxers that never were. It becomes a different story. And so I think Fresh kind of had that similar thing when I read it for the first time. When it's 30 minutes into the movie and that's where you have your opening credits. Balls. Who has the balls to do that? And so there were little things like that I really loved, and it's also not horrible, but a tough movie to market, because it's like you want people to have that guttural experience of 30 minutes in, you see Fresh come in and you see those titles, and then you go, oh, we're not watching like Sex and the City, we're watching this other thing, you know what I mean? And I love that. And I remember I read the script cover to cover in one sitting, just as gripped. And to me, that's always an inkling of what I feel like the film experience is going to be. Like, if we can just make what's on the page, If we can just make this movie on the page, I think it'll be great. And I very rarely have I had that experience in my career where I read something on the page and I was like, this movie is going to be great. Oh my, if this lady Mimi Cave can make this happen, because it's her first film, you know, and boy did she knock it out of the park. I do not, it doesn't feel like a debut to me. When you watch it, it feels so good. And Lauren Kahn, the writer, is amazing. And yeah, I read that script and I want to be a part of it immediately. I went through the same channels. You know, I had to audition for Francine Maisler, who's an amazing casting director, and you know, they wanted me to do a whole bunch of improv, which I'm like, oh my God, amazing. And then to get to set, and Mimi was so collaborative, man. I mean, I'm number 5 or on the call sheet, you know, who wants to hear, you know, but she's like, what do you want to wear? What does he listen to in his car? What kind of music? You know what I mean? Like, where is he from? Does he have tattoos? Does he have piercings? Like, she gave that guy, Paul's character, so much, you know, detail. And because he's not a big character in the movie, but narratively, Mimi and the editors and producers are doing a lot with his character narratively, with, you know, playing on the expectations of audience members and what should happen with a movie like this. And he's definitely a red herring. I'm pretty sure this interview will come out after our movie drops tomorrow. So I think it should be fine a little bit, but like, yeah, he's playing to how we are conditioned to watch thrillers and horror movies. And so when what happens with him happens in the end, I think it's going to be a cathartic experience for people who are sick of Black folks dying in horror movies. Like, you know, because of the situation like that, you know, you always watch these movies and you go, oh my God, like, we would never do that. Like, dude, I'd be out of there so fast. I hear a gunshot and screaming in the middle of the woods, I'm out. You know what I mean? So I think there's a killing of two birds with one stone there, where Paul's character is kind of a cathartic experience for people of color and the roles we play in horror movies. I think it's also cathartic for women in that this is not a damsel in distress and the man comes to save the day. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not right for this movie. And in this story, the women have the agency, they have the wisdom and the wherewithal to be the heroes of their own journey. They get themselves out of the circumstances that they find themselves in. And I think Paul's character is also speaking to, I'm sorry for the long-winded answer, but
you're fine. You're answering.
I think Paul kind of is a proxy for different men and the different roles that we play with putting on horse blinders to the plight of women in society. You know, obviously Sebastian's character is the full manifestation of the toxic, evil man in society that preys on women. You know, we've and you know, I won't go into naming names, but we've seen these individuals pop up, from the Jeffrey Epsteins to the Weinsteins and so on and so forth. But then the ecosystem that those men create, you know, with how they are so big in an industry like Hollywood, for example, and how their toxic behavior kind of enables other men. If you look at Sebastian's character and the delicacies that he sends to all these, you know, rich people all over the world, you know, he's creating this ecosystem for this madness to go on. And then, you know, you have people like Paul who go, well, I don't hit women. You know, Paul is like, I'm just a bartender, man. I don't abuse women. I don't da-da-da-da. But time you ran away. You know what I mean? Like, you turn a blind eye to the suffering of people in this world. And you might not know it, but you are somewhat culpable to what's going on. It's like, if you see evil, you have to do something, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, if you're a guy and you're, you know, at a job and there's a woman who's making less than you just because she's a woman, or, you know, if you find yourself in a situation where you're witnessing abuse and on a train or on a bus, you know, you see something happen where a guy's a little too rough with a lady, or as filmmakers, you can be on a set and see somebody, you know, being slightly abusive, you know, and you kind of turn a blind eye to it. Just, you don't want to, you know, ruffle the status quo. Make no mistake, you are somewhat culpable in that. Let me not even use the word you. I'll use myself. I am somewhat culpable in that when I'm silent in situations like that. And so I think Paul's character is a proxy for that. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's what good writing is. Good writing is complex, and it's, you know, we want people to get, with Paul's character specifically, you know, like I said, he's not the biggest character in the movie. I think he serves a narrative function to subvert expectations. But, you know, when that moment happens, you want people to go, oh my God, bro, don't be stupid. Don't go in there. Don't. And then when he doesn't, you want to be happy that he didn't, because, you know, that changes the tropes of black folks in the horror cinema, but you also want to be mad at him, like, come on, man, like they need me right now. So I think that's just great. I because it also, when the movie is over, you'll have people saying, man, I wish he had gone there to help them, and you have people saying, like that was too, like, I'm happy you got the f out of there. So that's great conversation for, you know, walking out of a movie, or, you know, like you said, this being the kind of movie you watch with a group of people. And listen, I'm all for the theatrical experience of shutting the hell up and turning your phone off and eat your popcorn quietly. Like, I'm that guy when I go to see a movie, but there are few movies that I think justify being loud in the theater and throwing popcorn at the screen, or if you're at home, pausing and going, oh my God, what the hell was that? And like being loud and watching the set. I think this is one of those movies that justifies that, where, yeah, it's a party movie. Like, you want to watch it with a group of people and have a community experience with it, for sure.
That was really well said. If we had like 10 more minutes, there's so many things that you brought throughout where I would just love to get a little more in depth on that. Like with you talking about the fast track to your characterization, like the line with the, it's a beard, it'll connect. Like that says something so much about Charles. In your burger close up, there's so much to talk about with that as well. So I appreciate your time so much, and I hope we get to talk again down the line. And man, I can't stress enough how much I love this movie, and I really can't wait for it to be Friday. So everybody that I've already told that they need to go see this, we can talk about it.
Right on. Thank you. That was a pleasure.